rather a strange spread. The spread itself is about conflict, but it's quite an easy one to resolve. Strange because the other energies are all good energies apart from the future. It's almost as though there's an underlying conflict here that you're choosing to ignore. And that underlying conflict comes out in the future with an ending. It's an ending that maybe is sudden and abrupt, maybe unforeseen, although I'm not too certain that it is. I think it's just one that you're ignoring. It's an ending that, it's not the Tower, but often, recently, I've been seeing it like the Tower as necessary. What runs through your reading? Well, there's two things that run through the reading. Love and money, really. Certainly in the past, you've been a little bit of a fool for love. And indeed now you are. You're more mature, you understand yourself better. But you're still focusing on love. Focusing on love and maybe ignoring these conflicts, which might be the right thing to be doing. It certainly feels that way to me. Yeah, it certainly feels that way to me. Is this conflict to do with jealousy? It could be, could be. You're celebrating with family and friends. What are you celebrating? I think you're celebrating good fortune. And I think you realise that if you celebrate, you'll attract more good fortune. And indeed you do, because the outcome is family fortune. Fortune's, good fortune for all of you. But that leads to this ending. So, is it to do with people being jealous? Or is it just something that happens? Things could be changed if you were a bit cuter with your money. That's interesting. How could you be cuter with your money? Let's get into this, Leo. Now, the overall energy that runs through this is that of conflict. We could take it completely at face value, but I think it's much deeper than that. The sort of conflict it is one that if only you could speak about it, you could probably resolve it. So I take it this is a conflict that you can't actually speak about. It's an underlying conflict that's been going on, been brushed under the table, I think, for some time. It could be to do with your shadow. It could be to do with childhood trauma even. But there's some underlying conflict there. It's linked to families. And it's also, I believe, linked to money. And so it runs throughout. I don't think it rears its ugly head during October. It's only after October that maybe it causes a problem. But I do think that's why I think it's like your shadow. It's something of an unresolved shadow that you've chosen not to address. Now, in the past, you've been something of a fool for love. And I think it's been deliberate. You've known that you have been. You've been taken for a ride many times. And I think you've felt that it's better to be taken for a ride, better to be a fool for love than an aggressor. And you haven't really worked out how to balance these things, how to put up appropriate boundaries. Probably going back to the overall energy, you've probably not worked out how to resolve your shadow. And I think that's what's behind all of this. You are aware that you've been a fool for love, but that's the path that you've chosen. You've chosen that path. You've chosen the path of love. And I don't want to take it from you, Leo, but it does result in some of the crises that you've been going through. That full for love energy, which was the past, is the Knight of Cups. And now your energy is the King of Cups. So that is a very positive move forward. Very positive move forward. It means you've got a greater understanding of command of your own feelings, but also those of others. So rather than simply being this fool for love, you now understand why you feel the way you do and why others feel the way they do. You might well allow sometimes others to get away with things, but you can spot it much quicker and you can probably avoid situations much better. So I think that's a very positive element to this reading for October. However, in the future, the wheels come off the bus yet again. And I think it's to do with this conflict, this underlying conflict, this unresolved shadow. And that is, we have the Death card in the future. I always say it's sudden, abrupt and unexpected. But another reader pointed out that death isn't always unexpected. So I'm not sure. But there's always hope there. There's always hope in what seems like complete destruction. So it is an ending, but there is hope. Recently I've been seeing, and I think particularly for you, Leo, we should be seeing it this way. It's a bit like the Tower card, and that is that it's a necessary ending to things. What is it an ending to? It looks to be an ending involving wealth and families. That's what it looks to be an ending about. But we cannot be sure from the information we have on this spread. And I'm not even going to bother with clarification because this is in the future. Now your current energy is that of celebration. Celebrating with family, could be friends, but what of celebration? Of course you've got much to celebrate. Things are looking a lot better on the wealth front. You're feeling good. You know, there are many reasons to celebrate. And indeed, this celebration, I think it is indeed, it's very much family. It's about family wealth, in fact, that you're choosing to celebrate. And that will attract more. So it's the right thing to be doing. However, you know, there is this conflict in the background. Maybe, just maybe, you recognise that by celebrating and lifting your vibrations, you can change things. But maybe there's this shadow that's unresolved. Now, I think this is good advice anyway. But the advice that's coming, that's saying it would change trajectories, is to be a little bit more sophisticated with your money. Now, I'm not entirely certain what that means. You know, I've taught at a major international business school, and People assume that I know what to do with money. But, I look at the markets and they all look totally rigged to me. I've been saving cash in the house because I'm watching ATMs disappear, and somebody has stolen quite a lot of money from me as a result. So I don't know what to say is for the best, I suppose I'm trying to be somewhat cute with wealth, but I really don't know what to do. But that advice appears to be there for October. And I'm a Leo, I might add. Outcome to you celebrating, and I think it is with family, is happy families. Blessings to those families. And, Leo, you've been urged in the past to work with others. And I think this celebrating with others is a part of you working with others. And it's paying off handsomely. You look at the rendering of this card. I mean, there's a whole family there. The mother, father, the grandfather, the children, the dogs. They're all there, all dressed very finely, all dressed very well. The house looks beautiful. Everything looks wonderful. There's pentacles, so it's suggesting there's wealth there as well. So it's suggesting you've got all the blessings you want. Why am I being negative? Well, we know the death card comes in the future. Is it an end to all of this? It certainly feels like it might be. But Leo, I don't want to focus too strongly on that. Because, you focusing on the good things, on celebrating, has brought about these blessings and that wealth. So I think we can summarise for you, even though we've not really got to the bottom of things completely. Leo, I think last month we concluded that nothing matters and you're simply an observer. So maybe that's how we should approach the energies that we have for October. And it's not really even October that concerns me, it's post-October. We have the death card, which is an ending. And you've had so many endings and, you've probably got used to them, to be honest. So I'm not even certain that we should get upset by it. I think it comes from the fact that there's an underlying conflict here that's not being addressed. Is it one that comes from your shadow, something very deep inside you? Or is it simply that you're aware of a conflict, but you're sort of avoiding it because you feel that's the best way to go about it? And I think it might be that, I think you've already realised that by raising your vibration and focusing on the good things, that good things will happen. And I think you're using that to create blessings, particularly blessings in terms of wealth and families. And I'm sure that's what you're doing, If there is a warning here, it's to be that little bit more sophisticated in terms of your wealth. But I don't really know what that means. But, I think your attitude is to be somewhat flippant. Create happiness. Use your wealth to create happiness. And that will create more happiness. So is there a warning that you can be more sophisticated? Is there a warning that things will not continue as they are now in the future? I think certainly there is. But, last month I think you became sort of stoical and realised that you don't really have skin in the game. So I wouldn't get too concerned. Well, I'm a Leo as well. I wouldn't get too concerned about it.